So, John.
Yes.
Have you ever participated in a focus group of any type?
Years and years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched a pilot for a TV show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic because that's kind of what I'll open with. Welcome, everybody. Pod Bay Door, John and Jamey in the studio talking to you about Vegas and beyond. Recently, I attended a focus group. About 100 years ago, I signed up for this focus group company, and they periodically call me. And it's by no means a source of employment, but after a while, it became kind of fun and interesting because you would do everything from taste tests. I've done non-milk products. And I watch a lot of upcoming shows, and it's interesting to me, and it's truly legitimate because I watched this show with Jeffrey Tambor.
Yeah.
And I thought it was horrendous. I thought it was one of the worst shows I've ever seen, and I wasn't even being my typical self.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was pandering. It was heavy-handed. Hit all the social sensitivity buttons. And Tambor was a cross-dresser. Well, unfortunately, it ends up being one of the biggest shows of that particular year. Transparent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, since he got Me Too'd and he's gone.
Okay.
But
yeah.
Transparent was an award-winning show. Everybody loved it, and it was hysterical. But I saw
it was a clever title. I never saw it, but I said that's a very clever title.
Agreed. And Tambor, I always liked him. I mean, I've liked him in something as silly as like Hellboy.
Yeah.
The reason I mention this is that I had a question from Gerald off of Twitter, and he was recently walking through the MGM district. Now, the MGM district, if you go in the beginning, the lobby area of the MGM, and just kind of keep bearing to your right, you're going to end up in the what used to be called the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now it's called the MGM district, loosely. And it is a long row of restaurants and art galleries and shopping. And quite honestly, it is far, much improved. It used to be just kind of, just high-end restaurants, nobody cared, and a Fat Tuesday, and that's about it. But it's very much improved. In fact, one of my favorite restaurants, Morimoto, is there, one of the Iron Chefs.
Yeah.
And but at the end of it, this is where Gerald asked me the question. He said I was, he used the word accosted.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of accostment here in Las Vegas.
Fucking timeshare people just
yes,
drive me crazy too.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but if you have time, you do get free,
that's right.
free stuff.
And I have done that before.
Yeah.
We need to get shirts or a button that says I'm a local.
Right. I think the nauseous look in your face that should tell them. But at the end of the district is this location called Studio City.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it's sponsored by CBS because they advertise all of their current shows there. They also have the CSI Experience.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, and I've
not tried it. Is it good? I mean, I get Groupon ads for that, and I've always thought, hey, that might be something.
I have not done that CSI Experience, but as we talked about earlier in another episode, the Mob Museum.
Yeah.
I did that one.
Right.
They're very similar. So I'm sure it's quite fun.
Yeah.
And then past Studio City there is the escalators down to the pool. And then there's the high-end Signature Hotel and the spa and everything else. But Gerald said, I got accosted by these people. I'm sure it's a scam. Now, obviously Gerald, is cut from the same cloth as me because I pretty much think everything's a scam.
Yeah.
Which it is. But Gerald, I have good news. It's not a scam. I have recently attended something there, and it was I can't really talk about it because you sign a waiver,
non-disclosure agreement.
Yes, NDAs. But I recently went there to watch some programming, and it is absolutely legitimate. There are two different types of things you can do. One, you can watch these programs, and they're either programs that are currently showing or that are upcoming, and it's kind of like a Nielsen thing, mobile Nielsen, and you give your rating. Now that one is just for fun, but you do get to see a lot of really cool shows, and or not cool, or they suck. But you get to watch things that are brand new, nobody else has seen.
Yeah.
The other part of it is, and this is where Gerald, I think, was talking about, because they sell it as you'll get paid to watch television. That's true. The oftentimes I will be, now I'm called by this company that I'm involved with, and they tell me they first have to determine if you're a match for the group that they want. Now that I've turned the unfortunate age of 50, I match quite a few more groups.
Are you starting to get the ads in the mail for the hearing aids?
No.
Yes, you'll start getting those probably maybe 55. I get those, and I say, I wish there was an envelope I could return to. I just write "fuck you" on it. There's nothing wrong with my hearing, just
really
because
loud.
Just because I'm old.
No, I haven't. But 50 is a really sort of sweet spot age for focus groups.
Yeah.
Because the only problem is that I'm a non-smoker.
Oh,
I've lost so many because I don't smoke.
really?
Yeah.
Gee, with so many people now, at least it goes by state, right? I mean, when I have to travel around business, I go to some states and thought, wow, I didn't realize that many people smoked.
Yeah. I don't smoke. I don't vape. I don't e-cig. I don't do any of that crap. So I lose out on quite a few things. And I don't drink. I lose out because of that as well.
Yeah.
But you go there. You come back at a certain time. If you match their focus group, and it's either all men, all women. It's a mixture. It's at different ages. It's all the same age. It really depends on what they're trying to sell. And you go into this room and you watch this show, and it's usually they require about 2 hours of your time, maybe even more. But usually 2 hours translates to $100. And if you go there, you watch the thing, and the worst part of it is then the group goes to a different room and you talk about it. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the people, are not the most literate in the world.
Yeah.
But it is very interesting because you see who's watching this, why they like it, how they like it. And it's a very interesting process, which is why I don't mind the group dynamic. I always thought group dynamics was crap. But it's very interesting the way they do it. And they have the one-way glass or two-way glass. I don't know. And it's very official. And you get all done. They give you a ticket. You walk out. You get $100. So Gerald from Twitter, it's absolutely legitimate there. Now, I don't know about any place else, but at the end of MGM, it's right there. Now, the funniest part about it is, though, in their speech, they make you sign the NDA, and they say, don't talk about it until you're asked to talk about it. But the funniest thing is the very last admonishment. Don't fall asleep, because we won't pay you.
Oh, if you fall asleep.
Yeah, exactly. So,
or pass out? Can you pass out because you were drunk? I wasn't sleeping. I was passed out.
Any level of unconsciousness, you're not getting your $100. But to Gerald, yes, it is legitimate there at the MGM. If you plan your night around it, have a date night. There's wonderful restaurants now, and when I was there, completely empty. So you can have a lovely meal all by yourself.
Yeah, and you can at least pay for the appetizer and maybe one drink with that $100.
There you go. There you go.
With what they charge you at the strip.
And it is cash, by the way.
Oh, nice.
It is $100 cash. It's not a Visa gift card, and it's not we'll send it to you. It's cash on the money, cash on the barrelhead right there. And it's a lot of fun. I've seen some interesting things. Like I said, I saw Transparent, which I was apparently wrong. I don't know. And I saw one, I can't quite remember the name of it, but it was a testing. It was like, it was about, like in the forests of Seattle, Washington area. And it was like log state troopers or something. It was awful. And it was a typical like cops in the woods.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. It was overproduced and scripted, and I said as much. And I'll be damned. Saw it on TV like a month later. You
never know with those things. I remember I had seen, I go back to when I was in college. So I got called on one of these things, and you could win, these fabulous prizes. So I'll go. Mm-hmm. And I showed up, and I'm with somebody else, and of course I'm being obnoxious. And they gave you a
as you're prone to do.
Yes, as I'm prone to be, and I've always been that way. Like, part of me never grows up. So they give you a clipboard, and it said these were the sponsors' products, and you can choose up to $100 or whatever it was at that time. And I thought, oh, what a bunch of bullshit. So I checked off things like charcoal briquettes. What am I going to do with those things? I don't barbecue. Tampons. Hey, yeah, give me some tampons. I could really use those. Ha ha ha. So I check all these things off. We sit there, we watch a sitcom for 30 minutes. And it wasn't very good, and it never came on television. But we had the discussion about it. So now they're going to draw the winner of who gets the gift basket with all the stuff that they wanted. So of course, I won. They had like 5 people. I was one of the winners.
Nice.
And okay, that's egg on my face. I got what I had coming to me. But then I lucked out because then they went ahead and said, in lieu of sending you all this stuff, we decided just to send you money instead. So they sent me, I don't know what it was $25 or something at that time, which was in the 80s. So that was one time. The second time, I was in the mall in front of the movie theater. They had like a tent set up. And they said, would you mind, it's 10 minutes of your time. I don't even know if they gave me anything, but they must have. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone in the tent. And they wanted me to watch a movie trailer. Mm-hmm. Would you see this movie? And I looked at it and said, nah, I wouldn't see that. Well, how come? It's a fat chick. I don't want to see that. It was Bette Midler. And the movie was The Rose. I did eventually see it, and I really, really liked that movie.
Really?
And I'm trying to remember if that was before or after I handled her pantyhose. I think I'd mentioned that story before when she was performing. She wasn't a real big name. I mean, she was known. She had a following. She had a cult following, but she hadn't made movies and everything. And she was singing at Bimbo's 365 Club in San Francisco. And on a Saturday, a friend of mine who I used to help set up for his shows, he was Patches the Magical Clown. And he was doing a Christmas show at Bimbo's as some group had rented it out in the daytime. And we were in the dressing room so he could get his clown crap on, and so we're in the dressing room there, and I'm helping him clearing stuff off, and there was just, I pick it up, and, oh, pantyhose, one of these belonged to. Well, there was other stuff there that was belonged to Bette Midler, because she was the one performing at night there. So my guess is that those were her pantyhose.
John, you've led a rich life. You really have. But you had mentioned timeshares.
Yes.
I've gotten questioned about timeshares.
Yeah.
I think we've discussed that before, but people always ask me, and timeshares are not, obviously Vegas specific. They're Florida and,
you can go anywhere.
And Mexico, God forbid, if you're in Cabo. But how they ask me, do they actually give you free stuff? Yes, they do.
Yeah.
You have to be in a really good headspace and have available time, anywhere between 2 and 4 hours. They say it's just an hour. Well, that's bullshit.
It's an hour after they get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an hour presentation, but they have to get you there, and you wait around.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, being browbeaten for a couple 3 hours and end up with a dinner and a show, go for it.
Yeah.
The most prevalent one here you're going to see is probably Hilton Grand Vacations. Out of the Flamingo or near the Flamingo Hotel. You have to be in that headspace. And if you're the type of person that loves to argue, you can argue with them about the price and everything else. But everybody and their brother knows that timeshares are not the thing to do right now.
Yeah.
You can't resell them. You can't do anything with them. It's tough. But no, absolutely. You'll get a free show. You'll get sometimes dinner in a show. I know there is the Jockey Club, for example, which is right at the center strip. They often give cash, So yeah, if you want to go and do it. It's no problem.
Yeah, it would seem to me that it's okay, and I did it before I moved here, but I was here for like a week or two, so I had the time. Yeah. Okay, may as well do that. I got to see Spellbound at Harrah's. Hey, great! It was a free show, and it was. It was good. I enjoyed it. So it was worth it. But if you're only here for a weekend or a couple of days, you have to think about, is it really worth soaking up? As you said, it could be 3-4 hours. Yeah. By the time they pick you up and they drop you off to where they're having it out. So now you're kind of stranded there. Yeah. Now these were in the days, of course, before they had rideshare. Maybe you can call Lyft to get me the hell out of here. But now you've lost your time, and you're gonna have to pay to get back to the strip. So when you're there and then they get you in the room, whatever. Yeah, that takes time. Yeah. Now, what I find is now I get accosted when I go to the Philippines. I'm in Manila.
Oh, geez.
And now they're not trying to sell me timeshare. They're trying to sell me a condo. And it's always like, yeah, look at the model here. And they just look around for any foreigner that thinks that this guy's probably got enough money to buy one of these. I'm sure some of them are probably pretty nice, but no, I don't want to look that up.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, John, we in past episodes, we have talked about, we've talked about ghosts, we've talked about legends and strange Las Vegas happenings. Well, I got a couple of urban legends.
All right.
And I believe we've mentioned a couple of these, but we just kind of glossed over them in a top 10 list. So I thought we'd talk a little bit in depth about them, or as in depth as we can. These are urban legends that are often talked about and still believed in Las Vegas. A couple of them, nobody has really, conclusively said it didn't happen or it has happened. But let's see. We're going to start with the bodies inside Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam for you older folks.
Yeah.
Boulder Dam.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1931 was the beginning of it. 1936 was the completion of it. What is confirmed is that there were 96 souls that were lost while building it.
Yeah.
And it's 4.4 million cubic feet of concrete. But the bridge to that is that the legend is that those 96 individuals, or a large portion of them, fell through into the dam itself, and because it was too difficult to get them out, they were just bricked over.
Yeah, kind of like maybe that's where the mafia got their idea of the cement shoes, right?
Oh yeah, they've talked about Hoffa being in there.
Yeah,
for sure. Everybody that's involved in the Hoover Dam, you can pull up article after article after article. All of the officials then and the officials now and all the officials in between unequivocally say that that's not true.
Yeah.
That every one of the 96 were claimed and buried appropriately. They're not in the dam. Now, what do you think?
That makes more sense.
This is government talking.
Yes, yeah.
It does make more sense. 96 people. I mean, you're just short of 100 people that fell to their deaths. I just don't think they're going to bury 100. They're going to wink and bury them, in the middle of the dam. But now, are there any stories about the Golden Gate Bridge? Do you know any?
Well, only those who have jumped.
Jumped.
Yeah.
Okay,
now, my mother actually walked across the Golden Gate Bridge the day they opened it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because she was born in 1923.
My father helped build it.
Oh, is that right?
That's right. He worked the bridge for I think he said about 8 months.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I knew guys who were painters on the bridge.
Oh yeah.
And when the thing with the Golden Gate Bridge, it is always being painted, because by the time they finish it, because they need, because of the fog, the marine layer there, it rusts. Unless they go by, like with Rust-Oleum, red oxide primer, and then they paint it. That's why it's red, because of that. And by the time they finish it, it's time to do it again. Because, it takes a long time.
Sure.
And I did hear a story once about a painter that fell off and survived. But now, he had been a acrobat, or he had a training in that, in something, and he knew how to go into a fall, so that he was obviously very seriously injured when he hit, but he didn't break his neck. He knew how to land in the water somehow, and he survived. That was a story I heard. Again, that could be a legend too.
Yeah, I remember Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs, talked about the people that change the light bulbs, and how frightening a job that is.
Yeah,
it's just terrible.
Yeah, and the other thing about the Golden Gate Bridge, having lived in there, when you get up in the you're on the span. Oh yeah, well, you can hang on to something, sure, but it's windy and it's foggy and it's slippery. And all of those things, play a role in whether you're going to lose your balance or not.
Yeah. It's interesting, that we mentioned the bridge in San Francisco again. You have your background in it, but if being such veterans of Las Vegas, San Francisco really has never been represented, and I think well in Las Vegas.
No, it hasn't been.
Yeah, and I think it is a pivotal city as far as the cultural aspects of the United States.
Yeah,
it's the entertainment and the food and the iconic structures. We had now it's gone, the Barbary Coast, which of course now is the Cromwell. but it hasn't. Is there
No,
anything?
there was, if you remember, the Westward Ho. The original
Yes.
plans were to tear it down and build a San Francisco themed resort there,
Right.
and then that's when everything fell apart. That's when the economy took a dump, and all the building on the strip kind of came to a halt.
Yeah.
So they tore down that Westward Ho and it just sat there empty, right? I mean, Wynn bought it recently. By recently, I mean like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to develop something there, which hasn't been done.
We have a couple of versions of Chinatowns, and they're cool
Yeah.
enough. I mean, they have actually pretty good restaurants, and one of the tiki bars that we've talked about, the Golden Tiki.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how San Francisco is never really, and what a great city.
Yeah.
Now, granted, being up or down, I mean, it's hard to, because Las Vegas is tremendously flat.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason, but
Well, and that's the other thing is that there are landmarks. Most of the hotels here that are based on, and maybe that just fell out of fashion then, because if you remember, we had the Bellagio, the Venetian, the Paris. They all were built within roughly a few years.
right.
Right. So that kind of maybe then that fashion went out, but the one thing they all have in common, of course, is that they all have landmarks that you recognize.
Right.
Whether it's the Eiffel Tower or the Statue of Liberty, New York being another one. Statue of Liberty. So San Francisco has so many. You got the Golden Gate Bridge, you got Lombard Street, the Fisherman's Wharf, Coit Tower. Things that, when you think about a movie, you're in San Francisco, they just have to show you one of those things. They show you Coit Tower, they show you the cable car, the Golden Gate Bridge. As a reference, I know where I'm at. I'm in San Francisco. That they could exploit in the hotel, and they never did.
Yeah. Now, speaking of landmarks, I know,
Yes.
John, you had, in a pre-show, you had mentioned a couple of things, some changes that were coming up.
Yes, Bonnie Springs. Now, we spent a miserable afternoon there in our concierge training when they sent us out there.
We did.
Yeah, Bonnie Springs, the old West Town, and the petting zoo with the 3 mangy goats and a potbelly pig is going to close.
No.
Yeah.
When? Do we know when?
Yeah, I don't know when, but
Soon.
pretty soon. And apparently they're circulating a petition online to
Save Bonnie
Springs, which I'm sorry, I'm not going to sign it.
Well, I mean, yes, we've been there. I've been there subsequently for a photo shoot, but it's now. Did they mention an improvement, or it's just?
Well, the thing that some people were questioning, and it was a good question, is are they going to build houses out there? Because you're right at the foot of Red Rock Canyon there, right? Red Rock. So are they gonna spoil the landscape there? Well, the answer is no, because the surrounding land. Now, the Bonnie Springs itself is privately owned.
Yes.
But the surrounding land is all owned by
BLM.
BLM,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Bureau of Land Management. So they're not they're not going to build houses there. What they do with the Bonnie Springs property, I think what happened was it was sold, and whatever the new owner wants to do.
Well, sad enough, but it didn't keep up. We do have Calico Springs, and we have other ghost towns and cowboy-esque places.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you also have an update for downtown Las Vegas.
Downtown, they are going to renovate and build. I guess it's going to be a new hotel. It's going to be Darren Stevens, the of the D.
Yes.
Is it the D? Is that what he has?
The D, yeah.
Yeah. We used to be the Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyhow, they're putting together a new hotel that'll open December 2020. So we're looking at
that's quick.
That's pretty quick,
Yeah.
I guess, because the buildings maybe some of them are already there.
Yeah.
But it's going to be called Circa
And it takes the place of
Glitter Gulch.
Glitter
that area.
Gulch.
Yeah.
Yes.
And anyhow,
The ultimate clip joint for
yes,
strip clubs.
yes.
Oh my God, I've been there twice, and it's horrible. It was awful. I mean, they have, it's like a 4-step process just to get you to buy drinks. I mean, oh God, it's horrible. It's horrible. But Circa. And
now they're claiming it's going to have the largest sports book in Las Vegas, which would then, that would have to be one of the largest in the country then, yeah.
no, for sure.
For sure.
And that's quite a claim.
Yes.
Considering you have the giants of like Caesars and MGM.
MGM, yeah.
Even Venetian has a big one.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Did they? And 2020.
2020,
Man,
December.
quick.
So close. So this is what? So 2 years, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it's December 2020.
See, I'm surprised by that. I mean, I don't know anything about Stevens and his group, but with as sluggish as gaming has been or was in 2018, I'm surprised, concerned, a little concerned. I mean, overexpansion has always been a problem in Vegas.
Yeah, it always has been. Yeah. And I wonder again also if this has anything to do with the Raiders coming. Do they think it's going to improve the sports book? Or?
You know, there's a lot of eggs are going in the Raiders basket.
Yeah,
and you know how I feel.
Yeah,
about that.
And I wonder even with this e-gaming, if that's going to be included. Are they going to start betting on who's going to win?
I know.
Who knows? I mean, they'll bet on anything, right?
That's right. Two dudes playing Mortal Kombat. We're going to bet on that. Well, thanks. I didn't. That's great information. Number 2, Siegfried and not Roy.
Oh yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this one before.
Yeah.
Siegfried and Roy, very, very famous magicians and showmen here in Las Vegas. A long story short, Roy was. They're known for their white tigers. There was an issue with one of the white tigers. Roy was attacked. He, in my opinion, he was not attacked. He was actually being protected by the tiger, but was injured almost gravely. They started in 1990.
Yeah.
And performed all the way through to that show in 2003. The claim has been, and this is the one that no one really knows because of one factor. The claim has been that for quite a while, he performed with a person that was not Roy.
Yeah. The story was it was Roy's cousin.
Yes.
Yeah, and now that was always a story. It was Roy's cousin. The irony was, I saw Siegfried and Roy once, but not in Las Vegas. They played in Japan. They came to Japan between their gigs. Remember they were at the Hacienda. And then when they got the big one at the Mirage, they signed that contract. They were off for like a year, and they did a 10-month stay in Tokyo, and they performed there, and that's where I saw them.
Okay.
But when I moved here, I had friends in the magic community who knew Roy. I had 2 friends that knew him, and one of them said, "No, Roy is," and this is the one that I believe, Darwin, who said, Roy and Siegfried and Roy got here right around the same time I did. We're talking about the 60s. I've known him a long time. I can talk to Roy about the old days, and he remembers. So it's one thing. He said if you had an imposter, he would not have those memories of things that only Roy experienced, or that I knew Roy experienced. My other friend said, "Yeah, I knew both of them. I knew Roy, and then the current Roy is taller a little bit because I noticed it. I thought he looked different. So he says I think maybe it is the cousin, whatever." And I think Darwin knows him longer. And again, the whole idea of, and then there would be, why would they do that? Who cares? Because as they were kind of like, they were illusionists mostly, right? I mean, Roy was the animal handler, and Siegfried was more the skilled magician. He could do some stuff. Yeah. But Roy really was the animal handler. And they worked on some illusions, but very often, illusions are theatrical in that respect. It's not really a sleight of hand sort of, it's a different type of theatrical skill.
Sure.
So I don't see why would they do that? Why would they, we got to be really secret about this?
Well, the number one factor from what I read about this, and oh Lord, lots of articles.
Yeah.
Is for some reason, and I find this to be, an abhorrent part of our press today. They feel the need to have certain documents that I find to be quite personal. In this case, they asked for Roy's death certificate, and they wouldn't give it. And it's like, well, at the time he wasn't dead, so but then they asked for his hospital records, and they wouldn't give that either. And so that caused a hoopla, kind of like the whole, Obama situation with his birth certificate. And but I agree with you. I don't think it was the cousin, because do they look alike?
I guess they would have to have looked alike.
Now, Darwin, your friend, Darwin, a Las Vegas entertainer and magician.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is he still performing?
Well, Darwin is up in his 80s, and he was. I mean, magic for him was. He's still. I don't know if he's still performing, but he was always the ringleader of the underground magic community. But he spent most of his career as a bellman at the Riviera. That was his day job.
Okay.
And he is a fantastic caricature artist, and he has great stories. If you want to know about Rat Pack, he knew them all. They would all stay at the Riviera. That was a big hotel back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, Sinatra, and he met him several times.
We should try to get Darwin on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we'd have to go to him probably. But all right. Well, so Siegfried and not Roy. I'm going to go with it. What it is and was Roy.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to put that one to rest. Now, number 3, the Megabucks curse. I was unaware of this, and I didn't realize that it was so involved. But there was a woman by the name of Cynthia J. Brennan in 2000 who won the Megabucks at the time. Megabucks, of course, is a slot machine, progressive, and usually quarter-based, and you win the progressive if you get the 4 or 3 eagles. And she won, and then subsequently died in a car accident.
Oh.
The following winner, who was anonymous, which is very hard to do nowadays because they have a lot of rules in the casinos. You're not allowed to be anonymous because they want to market the whole thing. But in 2003, that individual won and then died of an overdose. And the reason they know he died of an overdose is was he wanted split payments. And so they know that he no longer was able to accept the payment, so they were, didn't have to pay the money. And then subsequently from there have been 5 others that have won either Megabucks or smaller versions of the pot who have died in a plane crash, gang violence, and 3 heart attacks.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now I don't know if this is an urban legend, but all of these are confirmed. They are all dead after winning some version of the Megabucks.
Well, I would say, first of all, every winner of everything is going to die someday, right? I mean,
right.
And if you go stretch it out long enough, and say, well, this guy won in 1990 or whatever. Well, it was 20 years ago. You're going to die sometime. Right. How old were the people? Shit happens. How many people have won similar Megabucks and nothing happened to them?
Right.
Or they're still, they're going to die someday, right? Can we add that? Oh, another one bit the dust. It's the same thing like with the Bermuda Triangle. When they talk about all the ships and stuff went down there. Well, yeah, okay. Well, how many of them passed through and nothing happened? Right? A lot more.
Right, exactly. Oh my gosh. So have you seen, this is a huge aside, but I just thought about, I'm sure you're familiar with cruises and everything else. Have you seen that Royal Caribbean cruise thing? Now it's as of yesterday when I stopped reading about it, 500 people are sick? From and they love to say norovirus. That's their favorite word, norovirus. Yeah. And they don't know why.
Must have been the pate.
Yeah, it must have. Exactly. First time in a long time they've turned around and came home.
Oh wow!
Yeah, usually they forge ahead and they were like, screw them, and they always like to say the percentage of the passengers. Yeah. Well, it was 3.3 when they were initially. It was 225, and then it doubled. Ooh. And they were like, no, we're turning around. So haven't had that in Vegas. There was an issue while we worked at the Venetian. Excuse me. And it was eggs. Do you remember that? Huge egg problem in the patrons buffet, the Venetian buffet. Yeah. Which I believe is it gone? I haven't seen the buffet.
We never had one at the Venetian when I was there.
Didn't we?
No, we had the employee dining room. We had the food court.
I'm thinking of the employee dining room buffet.
Chow, they used to call it. I called it choke.
Chow. Yeah. And some of the food there was
it was questionable.
Trickle down.
Yeah. From a lot of that was trickle. Yeah.
But we had an egg problem.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, and it was pretty serious. Not 500 plus serious, but no, I just saw that. Okay. Number 4, hunting for Bambi. Are you familiar with that one?
No.
Oh, this is so funny. Hunting for Bambi was something that was talked about 10 years ago, back in the days of Oscar Goodman.
Okay.
Love Oscar. I think he's hysterical. I
His
don't know
wife's
about
now the mayor.
Yeah.
He was the mayor 10 years ago, I think.
Miss Goodman.
Yeah.
But Oscar, very interesting guy. Checkered past.
Yes. Mob attorney.
Huge sort of tip to the hat to him in the Mob Museum.
Oh,
whole thing about him. But very cool guy. I've met him many times. I don't know about him politically. I don't care. But he was very protective of Las Vegas, and I thought good on him for that. But hunting for Bambi was in his time, and this was. It was a story that a company had started. It was basically hunting naked chicks with paintball guns.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Where was this happening
just outside the city. I mean, you would pay. It's like canned hunting nowadays, which is an awful thing. But yeah, you would pay, and the girls would run around, and they were completely naked, and you'd shoot them with paintball guns. Well, if you've ever been with played paintball, it hurts.
It hurts.
Doesn't matter if you're naked or not. It hurts. But apparently, I don't know. I can't find out exactly what they were trying to accomplish. But Oscar Goodman made a statement clearing it up. It was absolutely a hoax. There was no naked chick. Or paintball guns.
They had stiletto heels on.
Yes. Now we have actually hosted the Powder Puff Bowl.
Yeah.
Here in
Lingerie Bowl. I think they had a team here, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. We've done that kind of thing, but no hunting for Bambis.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was it. I like I said, the urban legends in Las Vegas seem to go hand in hand. But we're already weird.
Yeah. I mean, there were always a story about the underground, the house with the underground cave or whatever. And that was true.
That was absolutely true.
That is true. And maybe because of that, now people saw it. Okay, well, then that gets removed from that list.
Yeah.
So, but the other ones, I mean, they're interesting. We don't know. That's what makes them like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because the town is such that where things get torn down all the time, with a very few exceptions, like you're talking about Hoover Dam, that's why we really don't have ghost stories on the Strip, because the hotels aren't there long enough to have a history. Because really, I mean, what are ghosts are metaphors of the past.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why you have to have something. It has to be there a long time before it can
right.
Acquire a ghost story.
Right.
Before something. And if the hotel's only there 20, 30 years and it gets torn down and something else put up there, then it just doesn't have the same flavor.
Right. And we've talked about like Bugsy Siegel's car getting buried. That's true.
Yeah.
But we have such a strange and storied past. We don't really need to have these legends, but we do. We have a few here and there, and we have a couple of ghosts. Elvis is absolutely still here over there at the Las Vegas Hilton, what do they call it now? The LHS. Yeah. But you're right. It's interesting how again it goes back to Las Vegas. Has started to and continued to kind of look away from its past, and I think there's many of us that hope it stops doing that. But we'll see. We have a lot of new coming. Yeah, a lot of new coming. Yeah. Well, John, coming up on our show, we're going to talk about more ghosts. I found some creepy ones. Good. Yeah. About the surrounding areas. We're going to have more ghosts, gambling tricks that don't work. I've heard some really silly ones lately. Patterns and that's ways of doing things that just don't work. Entertainers of Vegas. I got some friends that hopefully are going to come on the show. But maybe we'll talk to Darwin. I think that would be a wonderful conversation if we somehow arrange that. Now, John and I are actually going to go on unfortunately going to go one more hiatus here. And we'll be back after the Super Bowl and we can talk about that. Do you care about the Super Bowl?
Well, I'm gonna see who's in it this year before Now, the thing is, being from San Francisco, we don't like Los Angeles teams. Yeah. However, that said, Jared Goff of the Rams, he went to Cal, so did I, so that's in his favor. I've got friends who like the Chiefs. It's been a while since they've done. They always seem to pee down their leg in the playoffs. So there's another. Way that I'd like to see that. So
our new episode after this one will debut on February 5th, right after the Super Bowl, so we can talk about all the happenings there. I'm actually shooting a couple of things, photographing a couple of things for Cosmo and Hard Rock, so we can talk about all the craziness there. But we hope everyone finds their peace. We're having a great new year. And for John, this is Jamey, and we will see you next week. Thanks to everyone listening and watching. You can catch the Pod Bay Door on the Podbean app or any of your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, and Stitcher Radio. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel at the Pod Bay Door Podcast. Please download, like, and subscribe. Our social connectivity screen is coming up. Check in with us on Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress. The Pod Bay Door is closed and talent is out. Hey everybody, thank you very much for tuning into the show. We would love to hear your show suggestions and comments. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, please click to subscribe. You can also connect with us on Facebook using @PBD Podcast, on Twitter using @TPBD Podcast, and on WordPress at thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com.